Hey everyone, nice to see you. Hope I just make a short stream check. Hey everyone. Sounds perfect. Fantastic. Sound is working. Picture is also there, I hope. Also in a good quality, I hope, for everyone. Nice to see you around. Welcome to this evening session for Flutter Explained. Wow, 4 visitors, that's beautiful. How's it going, Flutterist? I saw your message today, but until now I couldn't have a chance to take a look into it. Hi Minu, nice to see you. How are you? Ready for today? This is all working, fantastic. So now we just wait 1 or 2 minutes and then we can start right away because I'm super excited today. I got yesterday the message that my PR got reviewed for the Flutter team, and this means we really have the possibility to merge that one. And it seems that Hans Muller, who really checked out our PR, so here you can see him, was very happy with it. So I think we can really merge that one. And after that, I want to make maybe a short Q&A session. Maybe we can work about your problem that you have, Flutterist, and we can check if we can fix that in the live stream. Just let's have a look. But now first we concentrate on that outline button constructor so that we have all that things done. So is that okay for you? Do you think that that is something how we can work? For sure, perfect. Thank you, Rob. I think we made yesterday also the 2,500 subscribers, so also for that, thank you so much. Till now I didn't want to start with that, but we really should make like a special videos for that stuff, but somehow the time is too short for all that stuff. So yeah, so congratulations to you. Okay. But I would say let's jump right into this nice little PR here. So we got the review from Hans Muller and he gave us exactly 3 comments on the whole thing. The first one, which should be very easy to fix, is just we don't need a line break at a certain situation, because at the end I gave here a line break for the width, and I think because I was afraid that the Dart FMT is not working, so I thought I was not allowed to or I had to line break somewhere at least. And the second thing is, and there I'm not completely sure with that find type outline button, that means we don't really need to access the key here. We would get out of the widget tree automatically the right outline button. And here I'm not sure because I don't know if this outline button will not match with the other outline buttons that are already inside. Could be that I'm wrong here, but we will see. And the last thing that I really liked is he's very happy that I made a comment for the different sizes, where they come from and where we have to add them. So he just gave an improvement for the comment section, how we should comment it. So the expected width is the sum of, and then gave the different numbers. And I think that is exactly how we should do that. I think he made there a very good point. And the last point that I wanted to take a look into is the Flutter build. The Flutter build is currently broken, okay, so that means we have to re-trigger it somehow. Most likely with our next commit, it automatically gets re-triggered. But what I found very intriguing is when I started that one up in the details page. Now we are coming to the CI/CD platform, I think, from Flutter itself. And then I got stunned because I was completely unsure what I see here. It is like somehow everything. You can see it's the Flutter gallery part, which I think these are different applications of Flutter in different devices, I would say. This is the channel that we can select. And each of these squares is like a build or a test that is running through. And when we click on that, we get like a lot of information. And I think on the left side, we find our names, and I think these are the users from the GitHub repository. But I'm not completely sure with that, to be honest, because I couldn't find myself, for example. But if I'm scrolling to the bot, you can see there is coming a lot of loadings. And after that, the next batch of people are arriving, I would say. Yeah, so this is really a fancy screen, I think. So if you can give me here a bit instructions how I can read that, that would be fantastic. But nevertheless, I think we should start by the stuff that we can really easily fix and go through all these comments. And I didn't want to do that alone because at least you helped me like 80% on that already. So I found it a bit unfair if I just fixed it and next week I say, yeah, I got a PR review and fixed everything. So I thought I bring you with into the boat so you can really enjoy the whole journey. And because this is not only my PR, it's like the whole community worked on that, and that's fantastic. Okay, so inside of the outline button test, we have a line break somewhere. So we search for the file. I do that with Command-Shift-O. And this is our project, right, where we have been yesterday. And here is our file. Close the project here on the side. And now the question is, where is that line break? For this, I jump right into the changes view here and search for the line where he edited. So, and this is at the 1064. No, that was not it. It's coming down here. It's the 11.8. So we search and scroll down. 11.8 should be here. Okay, so this is this line break with that number at the end. Yeah, as I said, this comes from that when I listened to that don't use Dart FMT to sort your application code. I was a bit afraid with that. So we can say don't need the line break here, so I usually give a +1 and then I just resolve it. So then it's done and he knows it. And with that, for him, he will get the information that this one is marked as resolved. Because in the end, if we are finished with all the PR review, we will click on this nice little icon and will request a review. So he will get informed that this PR is now ready to getting re-reviewed. Okay, so next step, the documentation. Yeah, so I will take that too. And let's see what we have here. This is just the expected width of the sum, yeah. So what I will do is I just replace that part that I wrote with his, because I just think the naming is better, and as I said, my English is not my first tongue, so usually I am very happy if someone gives me like instructions how I can write something like this. I just will add these parentheses because everything else has also the parentheses. Okay, but now this 86 is clear. I'm not sure if I should add this, remove also this line break. I think that makes sense. So this should be clean now. And now he said that we should get the size on that arrow. Instead of getting finding by key, we can just use by type. And this is the next thing that I would like to try. So I assume that the first thing, we would remove the key here. And then we would say, instead of find by key, find by type. And then search for the outline button. Voila. And if now, well, this should be green, hopefully, if I run the test. Okay, so with the first one it works actually. And now I'm curious if this is working for the others too. And I have to be honest, I really have to take a deeper look how the testing framework works. That is fantastic. I really have invested too less time to dig deeper into it. Maybe this would be also a great video addition for the next time, where I just talk about the testing frameworks. And yeah, it seems like everything is green. That is fantastic. So it always takes the last one, or why is it working now like that? So it searches for the outline and we test a pump widget. Does it mean with pump widget we remove the old one? It calls run app with a given widget. Then triggers a frame and flushes micro task by calling pump with the same duration. Okay. So I think because we call the run app once more, we really remove all the widgets out of the widget tree. So this tree will be just contained by that what we push here inside. And that's why we don't need the key. Fantastic, good to know. So I think we can work with that, and this should help us in the future also to understand how the whole application works. Okay, so we get that down here, and I think the last time is here. And actually, I think for the testing it is okay that we repeat that here multiple times, because it is cleaner to understand, and also because we have to call that find on that tester that after we have initialized it. Good. So this one will be a replication, so also this will be copied up here. Fine. And what I can do now is giving this one a +1 and resolve it. And also for the last one, it's really important. Glad to see that you have given it a crack. It would help to include similar comments anywhere that the sizes aren't obvious. So this is also like a conclusion for myself, because if I'm looking into the code, for example, this 88 is not absolutely clear where it comes from. So maybe we should add at least a comment for this, that 88 is the default width of the outline button. If we have this shrink wrap of the material tab target size. So default width, default width of outline button with material tab target size 88. Voila. With that, it's much more clear for everyone who has that part, right? So the same thing can apply to here. Okay. What do you think? Is that good enough? I think we can push that up now. Or is there anything missing? And we can also give you mean this one? Right. Where's my keyboard? Ah, that's IntelliJ. I didn't set that up. The X-ray leading space in the comments, and also the key declaration. I think the key declaration I removed already, or? Ah, no, I forgot that here. Yeah, right. Thank you. Very good eye. So we remove the keys here, here, and here. And that should make the code cleaner. Good. And for the other thing, I first have to set a keyboard shortcut, because I think that is caret that I'm looking for. And I look for clone caret above, which is for me always Command-Shift-1. And the other one Command-Shift-2. Voila. And I really need them, because especially in that case where I remove some spaces, I can work way easier with that. So, anything additionally that I forgot or that is missing at the moment? I also thought about it to change the tests for the other buttons, so that we have there also that find by type and then giving the button inside, which should also work. But the problem with that is that my PR that I have created, especially for the outline button, would bloat up to all other areas. And so I decided to don't do that. What do you think about that? Is that a good approach, or would you put everything in one PR? Okay. So what I can take a look is into here. There's a lot of going on. I don't know. This has changed a lot, the GitHub repository. Good approach. Hey, Arvin, nice to see you around. This has changed quite a lot, this whole PR thing from IntelliJ. Here's commit. Okay, so I really have to get my head around how this whole thing is working, because it's pretty cool, to be honest, but I don't understand what happened. So this is fork local and this is master. Okay, don't know. So we can push that whole thing with that outline button. And the easiest way would be that we just add now a comment that says added PR review or PR review. And with that, usually we have already everything covered. So, and what I hope now, if I push that whole thing, I'm giving here also a +1 and a resolve and reload the whole thing, because with that all the changes should be already there. So we have the key. Did it push already? Ah, no, finally. Okay. Is it pushed correctly? Yeah, into the fantastic. So I try to reload here again. Okay. Ah, here. Refresh. So this is all everywhere where we added the constructor. That's fantastic. And down here we removed now nearly everything that we don't need. Directionally we said we need, right? So this is fine. The description is also good. Did we remove everywhere the key? I think so. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, looks good. We everywhere use that new find by type outline. Fantastic. We have the size. We added everywhere a description where this 86 comes from. So this comes from that. Thank you once more for helping me searching yesterday. It was quite a challenge. But yeah, this is pretty cool, and we have that in place. So what I will do is I click here on viewed, because for me they are done again. And I assume that the checks are running now once again. So as you can see, all of these checks that we had before are now running again, and we will see if this time everything is getting green. Maybe you know that. Is there some kind of page or something where I can find all the, if there is something broken in the Flutter framework, do I find somewhere where I read, okay, this is broken, this needs to be fixed or something like that? I could imagine that this would be part of that, how do you call it? The CI/CD pipeline. Oh, look at that. This is with, is that GitHub Actions? No, it's Cirrus CI. So we have nearly everything inside, like analyzers running, the tests are getting built, framework tests, host only device labs, okay. And you can see the ones that are running. Ah, look at that. We can really take a look into the build pipeline, how the Flutter project is building their stuff. So here inside we make the pub, so most likely we make pub.get or something. Neat. Yes, I think the last time when I had a broken information, there was like, I think, yeah, the Flutter build is broken, like this here. And then there is coming, please do not merge the PR unless it contains a fix for the broken build. So the question is now, where do I find the reason why it is broken? And if I click here on details, I'm coming to that funky website where I don't understand what happens. This one. I think there was that open terminal, but there is not really build benchmarks repository. Tree is closed. Yeah, and the about only gives me the licenses, so it is a bit hard to understand. But the build is not... Yeah, I know it is not because of my PR, but did we not read inside of one of the other PR, inside of the tree hygiene, that we should fix that? Yeah, exactly. So I posted that yesterday on Twitter, and somehow there is some... I don't know, a description or documentation would be helpful for that one. But it seems it's just from the device lab, maybe? Yeah, so... Interesting. Just interesting. Pretty funky. Okay, so days are all outdated, so I'm thinking that is fine. And what I will do is I will press here on re-request. And look at that, thanks to these changes, we have saved again 4 lines of code, which is fantastic. That's pretty cool. And now we wait for the next PR review. So most likely Hans Muller will once more check that PR. And if everything works this time fine and the Flutter build is running, we can merge the whole thing. On the other hand, I think I don't have even the permissions to merge anything, so I most certainly think that Hans Muller will take the opportunity. Yeah, alright. That could be, I think that is part of that. Mino, I think there are a lot of people who are saying that VelocityX is very, very good. I can't give you a good answer to that because I never have worked with it deeply, and till now I would say still I'm like the more Flutter approach more just in case. But yeah, I need to inform myself there a bit more to give you a valid and good answer for that. Okay, yeah, I think there's running a lot of stuff, Ayush, right? So as I see here, there's a lot of tests that are running for the customers, for builds, deployment, docs are getting generated, sorry. The Firebase testing, framework tests. Ah, so this is a benchmark then at the end. Okay. And why are there so many usernames on the left side? Is this the different people who are making these tests? And what does it mean that the tree is closed? Is there also the opportunity to make it open? Maybe I should just check the documentation. Maybe there is also something very interesting there. A task. Download all logs. But it's pretty cool to start inside of the Flutter project. I think it is pretty impressive to see how the open source community can work together. Because I think that is not everywhere where you can just start your and develop with inside of such a framework. Drawer has the benchmark tile. So the drawer has the benchmark tile. Is it this part? Benchmarks, yeah. So the benchmarks means performance tests, right? So to get information. Wow, okay. Android view scroll. Okay, these are different benchmark tests that are giving us information about the frame rate, right? Is it also on different devices? Is this running in Flutter? No, just an HTML website or fast scroll, heavy grid memory. Okay. So I'm thinking that the red parts are getting executed with a delay in the frame, right? So we have the green bar and the red bar, and I think if they are getting overwritten, then we skip frames with our loading spinner. I think Philip gave there a great talk about that topic. The whole website? The problem is the scrolling is feeling too fast. Yeah, look, it's just diffs. So the benchmark website seems to be just a normal website with a lot of diffs. Why I can tell you that is because there is no Flutter or these glass things. So if you go back, or I can go back to the dashboard, here, this one, I think that one is completely written in Dart and Flutter, but I think this benchmark website is written in HTML, as you can see up here. On skier performance, so this looks now again differently. Yeah, it's also HTML. Cool. Dry run clustering. So as you can see, I still have to figure out all the different parts here. It's really great what there is all behind. And you can see it's a dev tool. It doesn't have so much love like the customer tools, but that's fine, I think. And the help side is broken. Oh, it's written in Go? No, it's most likely just a link. Okay, what do we have else? The repository is jumping back most likely. Framework. Ah, nice. Yeah, we have the the build monitor that we could set up if we want to have everything. So we have more than 300 to-dos on the website, on the whole repository. 2,800 subscribers. Oh, all right. 130 pull requests. Average age is 57 days. So you see, a pull request can take a bit longer usually. 7,000 issues. We have 2 without a label. What is wrong? Where's our triage? Wow, that is impressive. I think these stats are crazy. We have no to do in the engine. That's good. The plugins. The role history. Okay. Role history is usually an automatic task, right? That brings like infrastructure information back to the dev channels, right? If I understand that right, so... the access token. I don't need that. So Skia to the engine part is getting rolled automatically every 4 days ago from master to dev channel. And the same happens with the engine. Should there not be also one for Dart then at the end? I thought now the Dart is part of the role system of Flutter. Ah, here we have the different failing agents. So these are the things that are broken at the moment. That's why the Flutter build is not working. Okay. Anyway, anywho, let's go back to our comment. More nits, perfect. Have a child widget be the trailing named parameter in Flutter. We conventionally have a child widget be the trailing named parameter in Flutter. We conventionally have the child widget be trailing named parameter in Flutter. Ah, the on pressed is below the above the child. Okay, I got it. Be trailing named parameter in Flutter. Okay, didn't know that. Okay, I think I can live with that. I will just add this commit. So if you never have worked with GitHub in that area, so you can just take this suggestion that he gave and you can put that inside. And you can commit it right into your code base. I don't know if this is allowed in Flutter, but usually I do that like that. Must be done from the Files tab. Okay, so what we can do is I can go to the Files, remove the feud here in that part. I can leave that, but remove that one. Where's the comment? Should be there, so I refresh just once. And let's see if I can go to the file change. Ah, here we go. And now what we can do is we can add a batch suggestion to the batch. So we collect them in one commit at the end. And that is what I will do. And you can see up here now the commit suggestions. So fantastic. And the second one I will also add to it. And what I will do is now enter. Exactly. So my commit name will be apply suggesting from code review. Or better, I think this is fine. And additional comment is just that child widget should be trailing named parameter. And the good thing if you are approaching like that is that now I commit that. So it is now inside of the GitHub repository and fixed with that. And the good thing is not only that I should have waited a bit longer, I think, because he didn't do it for everything. Okay, but good to know. So what I will do is I will check that for the other two too. Ah, there's the icon and label. Okay, so it is only for the child. No, then it's fine. Because with that we have the changes now on board. And what the good thing is that he is now part of the commit. So because I edited him, he is also part somewhere in the in the participants, but this should be anyway the case if he answers. No, I think his commit, he gets part of the commit. Here you can see it. So he helped me with this commit, and he gets also his name branded on this parts. So if there is a question around that, everyone will know that Xia Hong had also an eye on that specific commit there. And this is also helpful if it comes to like responsibilities, asking someone about this code, if he has an idea what's going on there. Cool. So, but besides of that, geez, I got a legitimate. That's something. So that's fantastic. And the good thing is, Ayush was so friendly for me, because if you search for the issue 61, 61 and 61, so 61061, and we're searching for that, we can find it is an easy fix. So that was perfect to start with. So it is my first PR and an easy fix, and with that, I think Ayush had done that way easier and faster than me. But with that, I had some training, and that was fantastic. Thank you for that once more. Okay, but now I have no idea what happens, most likely because everything is broken at the moment. I assume that that as soon as the build pipeline is getting green again, so the Flutter build is running green again, if someone could fix the bug where the Flutter build is problematic, then automatically someone will double check my PR and will merge it then at the end. My question is anyway still, why is it broken? There should be a PR open, or at least someone who's working on it with a very high priority, I assume, right? Because nobody would like that the stuff is broken, right? Role meter pedant. How can we look like that? I mean, these are now 130 PRs. Newest, most common, last recently updated. It's getting automatically labeled. Ah, really? Oh, that's fantastic. How's that working? Is there then a bot running through the PRs and merge them automatically? We can take a look into the closed PRs for that, I think. Because the closed PRs should have exactly this information, right? So if I go here and just click here. Updated tested to latest version. This seems to be the broken one. This or this one of them. Yeah, so you can see the Flutter GitHub bot seems to merge the PRs in the end. So you can see whenever there is everything green, the GitHub bot goes into it and merge the PR. That's so cool. I love that. I love big projects to understand how they work, how everything works together and so on. It's so fantastic, especially if you go to customers and can tell your experience about this. I mean, this is how Google is working, right? We can't, or I think we cannot, or there is no discussion that Google is one of the best software engineer companies in the world. So I think they should know how their stuff is working, and that's fantastic. Okay, so waiting for tree. Okay, yeah, that makes absolutely sense. The problem, or what I think is most likely someone... Yeah, so I think Hans Muller or Xia Hong will add this label as soon as it's ready. That's a good point. Why I'm not starting the Discord? I think I joined already the group, so you are absolutely right. Why I don't check there? So hopefully I don't get too many messages right now, but it looks good. This is the problem, so get to the side, bring that down. Oh, tests. So, cool, so we are here in the group, and most likely we can find here all the problems that are happening. So hackers ecosystem, hacker start. Hey iTunes, nice to see you. Tree status. Legitimate, did docs Linux stop? So where would we find the problem? Server support? Welcome to the P. We have okay. Flutter engine looks related to. Yeah, no, this is just where they talk about. Oh, Taha, my man, is also here. Hackers tool. All right. So, another question: what would be a good way to find such a PR like you did, Ayush? I mean, if I would like to work on an easy PR now, or would like to work on the next easy fix as an issue, how would you go further to find that one? Is it, do you just search for the label easy fix, or so take that one? It should only take some minutes. That's sad. I think we took 3 hours for that. Okay, but that would be a possibility, or I think. So if we see here this CodeLab error, for example, most likely the problem is already pretty clear for that one, so it is an easy fix, that's why. So, so in modified CodeLab, building beautiful UIs. So maybe you have an idea for the next time, or maybe next week on Wednesday latest, we want to work on the next PR, most likely, right? So it would be fantastic if you have already some ideas what we can work on it. A stale issues which I can fix. What is a stale issue? That means something like a very old issue that still lies around and needs a fix sometimes, or so like oldest. Is that, if I read here deprecated, does it mean we shouldn't fix that anymore? I have so many questions about this repository. It's so great. Such a cool tool. Wow, wait, I have to change the music, sorry. Somehow it's driving crazy here. Up, so. All right, so yeah, very old, okay. And then I saw that this P means priority, right? So we can also search for different priorities. No worries. Anyway, nice that you are here. That's the best thing. So let's see where we have P1s. So P1s means really bad things that needs to get fixed. No worries, that's a pleasure. As I said, I really love that because, yeah, we learn the most in that stuff, right? I mean, I don't know why some things are like they are, but sometimes you have to just identify this stuff, right? And the thing is that we don't know it is only meaning that we don't know it yet, right? So we learn that step by step with every step that we are doing. And if I take a look here now with the build failure, for example, that is aborted, we could see here maybe the failure. We have the setup in here. So we see Flutter gets installed. Yeah, that's true. Open source is a big topic actually. And sadly, there is also, I find it very hard to come into it because I think I started the first time open source when I worked for Angular. And I don't know if you know the Angular framework. I know it's something else, but it is very hard to get into it. And I started here as a triage work. You know, I don't know, there is a website that announces every now and then a triage work, and you can just jump into it and go into the issue and help there somehow. And if you start with that, I find it so hard to come into it, and because nobody is really talking about all that different stuffs like CLA, what is it, why do you need it, and so on and so forth. I think that's also a reason why so few developers actually work on open source. Yeah, and I think it's also cool that you can make these connections, right? I mean, yeah, no, I didn't start small, that's true. But there's also some bad experiences, right? If you think about, for example, I worked for an open source project as a pub.dev result, and I don't want to talk about the package name or something, but I had a very bad experience there because I started to help him and his communication was so bad, like yeah, just fix it and do it, and it was really sad somehow. And then I was like, I'm not your worker, I want to help this package that other people has a benefit from it. Yeah, but I think that's tricky. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. I anyway search always for collabs. It's, you know, it's like working with everyone. And everyone helps everyone, and at the end we are all great together. And I think Flutter has a really bright future. It's getting even better. Maybe I can go one last, one last time I don't want to say, but we started now here in Karlsruhe, which is my hometown. We started now to improve our group, because this group unfortunately getting disbanded. Nobody worked anymore on that. So we decided now to create our own one. And now Matab and me is working on that and trying to organize meetings now on Zoom for now. But yeah, let's see. It's all community. It's all working together. That's the most important part. Okay, but I didn't want to go off topic so far, because we have still a lot to discover, right? Because if you see, we have here more than 260 labels. And what I would like to see is I want to take a look into this one. It's called the Projects tab. Also improve docs. Yeah, I hear it. And a lot of people have searched for API docs. You mean in the issues? Let's check. So searching for the label, API docs. Yep. So this one will be most likely one of the things that you directly will see if you do it. Like, should reclip has unclear docs? That a new clip object is created with a new which amount? Doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so it seems like custom painter delegate class should change the custom clipper. So it is an improvement inside of the API docs, and the cool thing about that is that a lot of people will immediately read that. So your work has immediately impact. Yeah, true. I will try that the next time. I think that sounds good, that we maybe do some API docs working. Then I can also use my Grammarly a bit more. What do we have else here? I mean, or should I search for the API docs like that? So what do we have here? Flutter, of course. This is that part, yeah. I think I wanted to work once for the Dart API docs on an issue that the Dart doc was not possible to run for Windows. That was my first issue that I created, I think, here in the part. Really? Oh, that would be fantastic. I think the code labs from the team are amazing. I don't know, the Flutter code labs, I think since the code labs, since the Flutter days, this is like the main source, and the cool thing is all of them have been updated, or most of them. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know how they will work in the future with the Dartpad, because now with the how's the other thing, CodePen support, it's getting hard to argue why Dartpad is existent, or I don't know, with the null safety, yeah, so they can show beta versions and so on. They use Dartpad in the docs. Ah, yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, sure. So if we search for Dartpad, no, not for Dartpad, but if we search for Flutter Custom Painter, for example, and here we have, this is then Dart docs? No, I doubt it, or it's more like the... the example code, where do we find some? I think it's not this one, right? It's more the implementation things. I think the Sliver app has something like that. So Sliver app, Flutter, yeah, let's search for that. I think here was some examples somewhere. So Sliver list, and also not. This is just images. For the Dartpad. Really? That would mean that we have inside of these, inside of the Flutter project somewhere an annotation like an example or something. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm searching for Dartpad examples inside of the Flutter Flutter API docs. I thought the Sliver has one, but I was wrong. Let me follow someone quickly, if I get some cool names. So Hasnentai. And I think Hasnentai can give you also more information about Velocity X. So if you search for that. App has one and floating action button. So let's search that one. Flutter floating action button. Here we go. That's a bit too much. So yeah, exactly. So this is this interactive app. So that would mean that if I'm searching here for the floating action button, then we would find that in the documentation, or so floating action button. And because this has a material design, we have a video for that. So this is this video, right? Then there is some text, and then there comes the examples. So we have, as said, material PNG. This is just a picture. Let's see where we jump here. Okay, this is the picture. Can you go to the snippets folder in the repository? So that should be snippets, you said? Snippets. This one, dev snippets lib. Yep, I'm here. So we have the main where Dartpad, get channel name. README. Let's check the README. I think let's start with that. Yeah, thank you. So types of code blocks. We have snippets, we have Dartpad, we have sample. So this is the sample, okay. Ah, this is that part. I've seen that. Cool. So the snippets is like a plugin for the Flutter work then at the end? An own code block? That's pretty impressive, to be honest. Okay. So you can assume the entire Flutter framework and most common Dart star packages are imported in scope Dart mav UI. Okay. So then we have the sample in an app. Do we get there also a running app then at the end? So it is always with this add tool sample something, okay. But I can imagine that it's pretty tough to do, right? And most of the people most likely don't know about it. So that's why you will not find so many of these floating action. But that would mean we have that here somewhere. Ah, this needs to be that here. So we have that add tool, Dartpad. And after that we use the template, stateless widget material. So if we find that again, this is just the image. And here we have that Dartpad directly underneath. And somehow it's broken at my browser. What is going on? Okay, that's a bit weird. Okay, sample code is working, but this here is a bit broken. Not that hard, but that's cool to know. So that means when we are in the documentation of this, we could create our tools here like that. So that would also mean, I think to create the Dart docs, there's also somewhere an information, because I wanted to fix once a bug inside of the documentation, and then I got some problems there because I couldn't create the Dart docs with the there is somewhere a tool, or sorry, not a tool. There is somewhere an executable, and that should create us all the documentation. But somehow this one was broken for Windows usage, and then it doesn't work for me. but I don't know anymore where this is. Shared, update Dart, bin, Flutter Dart. No, this is dead. Bots, CI, custom docs. You can import everything. That's fantastic. But as you can see, everything is connected, right? So everyone, what we are doing here is like helicopter view, right? We try to understand every part a little bit at the moment. This is how most of the people will begin, I think. And that is, we try to concentrate on one part. And this is only the Flutter framework, right? So this is the top layer on the whole thing. Underneath is the Flutter engine, right? So the Flutter engine is a whole different topic. And I think we downloaded that one the last time. Maybe we can also have here a look still. And the Flutter engine is now the lower level of the whole thing. So this is, I think there is somewhere this Flutter architecture. And there we can really easily see, yeah, this graph was what I'm looking for. So you can directly see here, more or less, how Flutter is built up. So the most people just know the framework, right? You know the material, Cupertino, the widgets, rendering, painting, foundation, and everything. So this is like high level. This is where we all work usually. This is when you create an app. This is what you know, what you are good at. But down here comes the engine, and you see already the language has changed. Now we are talking with C and C++. And there is the service protocol Dart isolate setup. So this is where the isolates getting generated, the VM management. Fantastic, we are finding new friends. Didn't I want to follow you too, so please. I think there are the names, so cool. Maybe I do that right away. In this repository, where do I find people? You see, I don't really use that so often. So searching for him. All GitHub repositories, users. Here we go. And the other one was Ravani, Jinx. Yeah, here he is. Oh, you worked also for the WHO, for that app. That was cool. When I saw that, I wanted also to participate. That was fantastic. Oh, thank you, iTunch. So searching in all users, getting him too. Perfect, thank you, iTunch. So that also my stuff is increasing. Good. So now I get 2 ticks. You can see Hans Muller also checked it. And legitimate, perfect. What do we see here? Rebasing, merging your branch with the master to see fixes the check. Fantastic, will do. So I give it a star here. And we'll go to my thing. And I close the engine because, as I said, this is something for another stream where we have a lot of time. So he asked me to rebase the branch, right? So what I will do is now I will fetch the newest information. So we get the metadata transferred. And what I will do is now I go to origin master and merge it into current branch. And with that, we update more or less everything inside. And we get all the different commits down. And as you can see, we have a lot of different things done here. And I will now push the whole thing. And if everything works as I expected, we get this message, exactly, was rejected, remote changes need to be merged before pushing, that's fine. And I think we will do that with rebase, right? So let's try that. Oh, that's no problem, I really like that, because I don't have a problem that I don't know anything, so it's easier for me to talk about it. But now if I have made a mistake with the rebase, then we will get now a lot of stuff here inside, and this was exactly what I don't want to see. I think that was a mistake. Shoot. So... Or is that okay? Reasons unrelated. Try rebasing, merging your branch with master to see then... Yeah... Let's keep that for a second. All the pull request submitter and all committer CLs are signed, but one or more commits were authored or co-authored by someone other than the pull request submitter. We need to confirm that all authors are... no, it's not okay. I thought so. Okay, now we get some issues because I have to revert that somehow, and this comes to the next funny game here. So what I will do... or can I do that even? This is now a lot. These are 17 commits. Okay. Good. The good thing is it is my branch, right? So in the worst case, we just have to redo all the work. Okay. We have now how many commits? 17. So what I will do is git revert. Wait, what is it? A git reset. Head, and then we give this tilde, and I think 17. And with that, we tell, if I have that right in mind, that we reset our branch to head 17. And I think we have to make it hard at that moment, but we can try that. Sorry, Minu, I think I don't understand the question. Okay, is that right with that git reset? I just want to double check. 17 commits. No, this is wrong. Removing a commit. Reset command, that's good. Current branch so that it will point to the correct commit. Okay. So let's try it. Okay, so when I'm looking now into the Git branches, we should now be moved somewhere. Wait, I don't work on master. This is locally. So this one, and I think we should be down now somewhere. Usually, because it is my branch, I thought I can do that and then just force push it. But I am not absolutely sure, so if I'm doing something completely wrong, tell me. A git pull origin master, yeah, it should be possible, so... Git pull origin master, yep. The following untracked working overwritten by the merge. Okay, cool. This is now a different problem, I think. Because I am already reset at the 17 commits, I think I should be already fine, or? Wait, please move or remove them before you merge. What is that now? Yeah, I fixed them already, I think. So let's force push them now. Is it pushed? Oh, push rejected. Okay, so slowly, before I fix now too much. Okay, I try what iTunch says. Updated 27 paths from the index. Okay, cool. Git pull upstream. This is origin in my case. Master. Error, the following untracked working tree would be overwritten by merge. Okay, so there are still please move or remove. So how can I get them rid of? I think we still have here local, that one. Org md, this. Or remove them before you merge. Okay, so let's try it once more. Pull nothing to update, git pull upstream. Upstream origin in my case, master. Still not. Diff snippets config template. Config template. Most likely because they were generated afterwards, so I have them now untracked path. So if I'm here, I had this beautiful view when I worked the first time with it. Now it's like confusing a little bit. Pull request console. Commit? No. Okay, so list untracked files. Git list untracked files. This Git ls files other excluded standard. So in the worst case, we have to do Git ls others. So we still have some dev snippets. Test semantics. Okay. Config templates. So, and the last one is the packages Flutter test. And here's semantics. Here we go. Okay, so let's see if it's now clean. Merge conflict in interval engine version. Merge conflict. Okay. Sorry that I'm now a bit quiet, because this would be a bad ending for that PR. So what do we see here? There is a hash code that has been updated. But this is anyway not... What I could do, because I anyway get the newest file, I can remove that, I think. Cancel. Not like so. Remove it, and now rerun the whole thing. I know it's still with the merge head. Stop. I have a better plan. Okay, if something like that happens, what I usually do is I will switch to another branch. Force checkout should really lose everything. I will clean my branch and I will delete my local branch for that. And now I will get my fork branch so that I'm clean at the end. So this is now a clean branch with all the mistakes that I did. So this one. So if I'm looking here, I'm reloading, all that stuff is wrong, cool. And now we try to revert all that stuff. So let's try it once more. Git checkout dot. Everything is updated, that's fine. Git pull upstream. Upstream is still origin. Wait, master. Now it looks better. So merge branch master into this one. Please enter a commit message to explain why the merge is necessary. Okay, this merge is necessary for resolving problems, or? I can just keep that merge, I think. The good old Vim editor. Vim save. Yeah. It is Vim, yes. That's horrible. Save and close. Press escape, then colon. So if I'm escape, then here we go. And then I think QA. X. Okay, let's try that one. X. Fantastic. So what was the problem? It tried to commit, merge and commit. Okay, I can do that with Command T. So if we want just to merge it, then we do this. You have not concluded merges. Now we have started one with Git again. So by that, I will remove that once more to get rid of the merge conflicts that are not resolved. And what I will try now is working with the tool that I have. So I want at least to get the newest information. So I press Command T. And what I want to do is merge changes. And is it? No, I want to pull actually. I want to pull. And now I can change from where I want to pull. I pull it from origin. And we want to pull from master. This guy here. No commit, no yep, pull. Fantastic, 99 files pulled. Here we are. Now we make a force push and let's try the best. And we force push. Now it will complain because our Git is most likely protected. Oh no, it pushed. So let's see if this fixed something. No, it's not fixed. Now it's even more broken, I would say. And even worse, now we have from Hans Muller even 2 commits inside somehow. What is going on here? He has now updated 2 tests. Outline button test. So he changed the way that worked. Yep, most likely. So yes, that was the problem because I pushed it the first time, right? So I made a big, huge mistake, and now I don't know. What I thought is that I can revert with the git reset. I could reset all the commits that we had. So this 3 and this 17. This are another 13 now, right? So it would be like 30 difference, and with that now 33 different commits. And what I hoped was that I can go with git reset and then give the head and just added the 33 different commits to it. So we would get 33 commits backwards. And now you see we revert them back, unstaged changes after reset. And now we would push them forcefully. And now I pushed it. Maybe now it's looking better. Okay, and this is how you screw up a PR live in front of everyone. Oh, that wasn't too bad. I think I cleaned it up. Okay, this deserves something. So everyone, just give me a second. So now it's time for a beer. That was too much. So good. Okay, so the question is now, did I fix it or did someone else fix it? But I see here that my force push seems to work on that. Whoa. Okay. But we have still some broken things, right? So the Flutter build is still not working and the framework tests are also failing. But that is most likely because we still didn't merge the newest changes of everything. So this is the next part that we have to do. So why do we have it still changes here? I think this is impossible. So we shouldn't have any local changes anymore, right? If you don't know IntelliJ, so this is this parts here where if I go here to commit, we see there are a lot of changes. And what I will do now is roll back them, because we didn't modify anything. So, and also the unversioned files we can just delete, because they are coming from the pull most likely. And what I will do now is what exactly Ayush told us seconds or minutes ago. Because what I think now, because here is everything clean, we should now be able to git pull finally origin master. Now I merge the things from master into this branch. But now we are again in this stupid pull. So this worked. So now we created a new commit called merge. And as you can see, all that stuff is inside. If I push now, it should work. We pulled now the newest changes and now we want to commit them as a merge. What do you think? Will it work or do we recreate our problem seconds ago? it works for you. So if you think if I push now, it's all good. We got some. I made a trivial fix for the new tests. My feedback comment was a little bit misleading. Okay, so this was the change that he did. I will push that now. Fingers crossed. Okay, we pushed now 33 commits. So if I reload, it could be that we see now again the 33s. Okay, everything works. So we merged the last things. We have 2 approvals. We got this information from him. So he he pushed something into here. But I think his changes, I don't know if he merged and pushed them into my branch. And what I will do now is we'll asking him if he could verify that everything is still in place. So. Yeah, looks good. Fantastic, legitimate. So this all is working. Now he told me that I should run the tests once more, and I think this is a good plan. So let's have a look. I thought I did that. That was bin, right? Bin. Slash bin. So where are we? We are here, and I thought in bin we have the Flutter project. Now we want to run it inside of Flutter test and then test material. Oops. Okay, so the Flutter version has to be downloaded again. But the Flutter build has not worked, unfortunately. Okay. But so this is what happens usually if you make mistakes mid Git or if you don't know your tools. And as I said, I don't know this new interface from IntelliJ. And so I made a very big mistake. So usually you don't have these issues. But now it should be fine. I just think with my force push I override or I have overwritten the changes from Hans Muller, unfortunately. So most likely he will have to go once more into it, or I have to fix it once more like he did. So where are we? Raised button.dart. No, here it should be. We cannot consume alcohol in out state. What does that mean? What is out state? Of the part is state of United States that is away from major metropolitan areas. Oh, really? In our state, okay. Oh, not at all? I haven't seen anything. Sorry for that. Should cover the labels. So my changes have indeed disappeared. So yeah, well, I made a force push. Sorry for that. Best if you reapply them. Outlook icon factory returns a private outline button subclass. So for those tests, you will need to give the button a key and use find by key. Okay, fantastic. Good to know. So here we go. This means we go back here. And what we learned now, but I was pretty sure that I run the tests before, right? I have it on tape, so this is the good thing. I hope you are not angry that I drink now some alcohol. If that is a case or a problem for you guys, then I will don't do that ever again. Not on stream, promise. So, but if I run all the... Oh, it really broke. Sad. Okay, so good to know. So find by type, it doesn't go works because of the icon, right? So what he says is we have to create a key for that. What I will do is creating our new key, which is can imagine. I can imagine. I have been some weeks in Iran and different. So what is it? Unique key equals unique key, I think, something like that. Then we create that, and here we have a local key. Voila. And this key has to be in the icon, right? So key equals key, and that's it. You are yellowish, prefer final, yeah, sure. Fantastic. We would add here a space, and then we have to find by key this key here, right? No, not here. This is okay. That would be here by key, and then we would add the key. And this would have a different number, right? So this would be key 1, and we would need that key down here too. And key dot key 2. Voila, then we rerun the test. Where are you from, Ayush, exactly? So in your state, is it from India, Mumbai, or something like that? I don't know. All right, thank you. I give my best. Sorry that it took so long. Okay, tests are Gujarat. Oh, nice. Cool. Tests. And the problem was the key for the icons. Outline outline button with icon needs a specific key. Push. So, and with that we finally should be able to let that run. So let's write Hans that we managed it. So fantastic. I added the keys for the two icons or outline button icons, and it should work now as expected. So, and with that, he knows also why his information getting lost, so he don't think that he made a mistake. And now it's getting to the important parts. I need Grammarly quickly. So, because my writing is usually pretty bad. Oh, is it possible to have an... I think it is possible, right? So you can have an extension in a private mode, right? So I just have to allow that somewhere. Yeah, here. Fantastic. We have that too. Okay, do you have any other questions that I can maybe answer in the meantime while I'm fixing all that stuff and answering messages? So I comment, take it out. Let's cancel it. I want to write something that I run the tests this time, but I think it should be obvious that the tests are running. The only thing is that still the Flutter build is broken. That's still sad. But most likely this gets now the label from which Ayush was talking about. And then we should be done with this PR. Finally. But it's good. At this time, it seems that there are a lot of people online, so you can really talk with them directly, which is fantastic. Because I think the people have also a lot to do. But I could imagine... I am on their Twitter, right? So I assume that these people are also here, right? Oh, Chris Sells is here. Simon is also here. Here it is. So you can also PM the people directly if you want. And what I would like to see is, I have encountered a strange issue, okay. Make scrollable free scroll initial velocity matches of iOS. Cool. Cool. One pending, 2 successful. Okay. So let's see if we get more informations here. If now we fixed everything, and if we did, we could maybe also do something else in the meantime while this one is checked here. Have you ever made some very big issues with your Git? Because I heard already Git issues are the worst. I think it's also a problem with the open source part, because if you are doing some work and you do such a mistake, everyone can directly see it. It's like, oh my god, what have you done? Framework tests, libraries. So here we have the different code labs, loading actions. Have you ever worked on the CodePen challenge yet with the stacks? I think if you go here to challenges, I have to log. No, we have now a Flutter challenge this next 2 weeks, I think. So we get multiple challenges from Flutter sponsored, and one of them is the stack widget here, and it's asking you to build a stack with different elements, giving you some ideas what you could do. I think there were also some very cool publications already. So if you go to that CPC one, it's not really a beer, it's just a so-called Radler. It's, how do you talk? Hard to explain. It's grape at the end. So it's mixed with lemonade at the end, because we have currently very high temperatures. And yeah. That's perfect, and especially if you make a mistake, then you need something. Simon says with a stack. Let's see, full page view. So how does it work? That's just the idea. It didn't start yet, or image URL, the root. Nah, it's not the full game. Comes maybe in the future. Oh, Jay is also working on it. That's fantastic. Jay is usually very known for his stuff that he is doing in CSS and so on. Also someone on Twitter that I follow. It's really a great guy. But what did he do? Whoa. Nice. Like the true false, okay. Is it done with an animated box, or how did he do this? Ah, it's a swatch. I don't even know this widget. Ah, yeah, bad idea. Nope. That's a color swatch? No. Is it a self-build? Swatch stack, yeah. Swatch state, and this is the swatch. Okay. This purple is... Oh, there's a comment. Hopefully the bots will agree. Okay, so fantastic. Okay, and with that, I think we are done here more or less, right? Or there's nothing else to do. So what I would really like to have for the next time, because next Wednesday we will work again on the Flutter repository. It would be fantastic if I get an issue that I can work on, which is maybe not too hard, but maybe very interesting. Maybe you have something in mind that we should fix, maybe some docs or something like that. And if you have an idea what we could fix, and maybe not too hard, as I said, it would be fantastic. Yeah, that's a very good question, Mitsuko. To be honest, I was at the first time when I read about it, I was a bit sad. So I don't know if you have checked it on GitHub. there is at the moment a discussion from from Felix started in the block pattern. And it's a discussion about that Cubit should be part of, or should Cubit be part of Bloc? Well, and when I first read it, it was a bit sad for me because I thought, I lose somehow my video, right? So it is not done. But a lot of people agree that it would be a fantastic idea. And why it is a fantastic idea? Well, it makes so much sense because Bloc is already very close to Cubit, and actually Cubit just brings some spicy stuff inside. And as he already writes in his justification, he could conclude all the different build tools together and makes the work easier on that whole thing, right? And additionally, he don't separates everything. Bloc has already a very good community that is very big. A lot of people knows it. So if you want to have more people working on your projects, you try to not split them up, because if you split now, you would split the community there, right? And that would mean that maybe some maintainers don't work on the same issues and so on and so forth. And because the tree shaking in Flutter is fantastic, Bloc, even though you would not use it with Cubit, would still be very cool and very easy to use, and it would be not increasing your app size or anything. So actually I find the idea very good, and as you can see, the packages are also nearly the same. So hydrated Bloc, Flutter Bloc. The only thing that I miss is the replay Bloc. I think that should be something that I hope comes in the future, because I really like that package. Yeah. And the good thing is everything will still work the same, right? So he only says that instead of having a Cubit package or a Cubit widget, you would have still the Bloc widgets, like Bloc counter and so on and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to take a deeper look into the Bloc pattern anyway. So maybe it was my first step into that area. I hope this answers the question. So those. No. Just want to be in my. Oh. Ah, it's the issues. No worries, with pleasure. After build, the web application has minified errors. So you see, I worked already quite some while ago on the Flutter repository, but just with basic issues. Don't be too deeply inside. But it's really cool and very intriguing to see all that stuff happening. But now I want to have that thing in. It's like my dream. Okay, but you see, it is possible, right? Everyone can do it. It's not that we broke anything in complete ways, right? Even though that I made this mistake with the Git and everything, it was more a problem on my side, and in the worst case we would have closed the PR and removed everything out of the fork that we have. So this is the worst thing that can happen. As long as two people like Hans and the other one here, Xia Hong, check once more, it's nearly impossible to do something wrong in that repository, right? The only thing is that we can do is learning more. And the good thing is that belongs to all the packages. So if you are in block pattern interested and you really like it and you want to support Felix on his work, then jump into his packages, look into issues, check if you can help somehow. And because one thing that the Bloc package is very good at, and this is what I know already, is that the documentation is fantastic. So if you have there some time, you read everything. And what I like about that is you get really the whole tutorials and you can follow them along, you get some information, there is everything clean and lean described. Yeah, so it is also our responsibility to keep that everything up to date and beautiful at the end. Is there any package at the moment that you really like or that you work with mostly? I'm currently interested in that Hive thing, as you could see yesterday with MaterialDatePicker. It's a pretty cool package so far. I just want to understand a bit more about it, but I think that comes with more time. Device preview is fantastic. I love that. I worked with that also on the recipe app already, and it helps so much. In Flutter data, that sounds like a possibility of Flutter data is a library for managing persistent data. Okay. It sounds pretty interesting. Auto-generate repository REST clients for all models. Okay. Yeah, VelocityX, of course. To be honest, I found it very hard, unfortunately, to come into VelocityX. If you see it the first time, I mean, you know that everything is like boxed, so that you can call it with the extension methods. That is not a problem. So if you have a text, you can very easily create more and more widgets around it. And yeah, still PRs, but we can do something else if you have a better idea. But I found it very intriguing to see then other widgets like the Xbox and so on, and how to work with them was very hard for me in the first place. Especially because I found it very hard to read. For example, this documentation here, I can't copy it. That is one problem that I had. And the other thing is, for example, you can see here, this is a string, right? But because you don't have these highlights, you don't see what is a property and which one is just text. Is it? That's fantastic. Yep, flat glass pane, amazing. Yeah, but I think we're getting better. I mean, Flutter Web is also just a beta. I mean, all of the packages that we have here is fantastic. On the next version of Hive, Izar. Okay, I didn't even... Something cool is coming. 000. Saving list area with shared prefs. Shouldn't be too hard, I hope. Let's see if I think let's check once more the PR quickly. There's nothing happening anymore, I think, so that's alright. Shared prefs. I think we can do that quickly. Ah, is it coming from... Is it pure Swift UI, the idea, with that VelocityX? That could be. So what I will do is I will create a new project in the meantime. And we can just work with that. Okay, so maybe I have any way to learn more with the... yeah, I take the default one. So, and we call that shared prefs example. I will just go with the shared prefs example right now because I know Flutterist is asking me the question already, and so I want to help him. Invalid module name must be a valid Dart package name. Ah, yeah, of course. Prefs example. But I really should learn maybe more native code. It's good that I know Flutter and it's getting better and better, but I think I also should take a deeper look into Kotlin and Swift UI in any case, because I think from time to time it's anyway beneficial and I could write some cool plugins. Okay, so we have our Flutter project here, right, with our main. And what I will do next is I will use the shared preferences, right? So let's get them here. And what I will do is removing all that stuff. Is there any new cool possibility to create JSONs at the moment? Do you know something about it? The last time when I worked with it, it was just the JSON serializer, I think was the name. That's true. And I think you can also work better on the engine and so on. But the problem is, for me at the moment, that I have to learn a lot of different parts, right? So at the moment I'm learning Flutter as my hobby, more or less, and also for the YouTube channel, which is nothing else than a hobby at the moment. And it would be fantastic to get that a bit more professional, of course. But on the other side, I also work on some projects, and there I'm working at the moment with a lot of different state management tools, and mostly in web related. And this is sometimes very hard to combine, so I have to specify for one thing that I want to learn, and then I want to learn it correctly. And I think it's cool that I can work at the moment in the repository of Flutter. And then let's see what comes next. But I hear already iOS 11 looks fantastic, phenomenal, better said. So let's see. So failed to set local default. That's all right. Don't mind. Good. So we have the shared preferences now down. And the easiest way to... So your problem is to save a list array. Okay, so which kind of list array do you want? Do you have anything special in your mind? We have a list of integers, or is it a list of strings, or do you even want to have an object? I think let's start with a list of strings, okay? So string list. And this would be an empty list where we just have that. The custom painter, I saw 2 or 3 videos the last time that I really found very cool. 5 and something like that. So what do you do with the custom painter? So shared preferences, yep. So preferences, we get the instance, which is a future, so we have to wait for it. I guess we must know platform channel to create plugin for Flutter. Yes, indeed, we have to know that, especially how you communicate between the two. But it's also important that you get the idea how to write the plugin itself, right? So if you want to write some native code, you really have to understand how it works at the end and what are the flaws with it. Because I think what is very easy, for example, in Android is to overload the, how's it called? The UI thread, I think. So you get there some issues in the long run if you don't check. Loader and spinner and custom painter, that's cool. So you draw everything yourself and then move it around. Cool. Sounds like a great idea. And hey Rakshit, yep, hope you're well. Okay, so your list is at the beginning empty and then you save it. Okay, so empty at the beginning, I will fetch document index numbers from database and save it to a list of arrays. Okay, so it's empty at the beginning, you save first the empty list, right? So what you can do is set, and then you have the string, for example, and the string list. So I really should have a look. Oh shit, hi, Chichi. Okay, okay is a good name. I didn't watch the video yet, maybe I will do it after the work here. So we can't set an integer, right, as only a string. So what we could do is, if we have a list with integers and we want to save that, then we could create a JSON out of it. So we can say JSON, is it encode? I think it is encode. And then we can give the string list inside. So we create a JSON out of this string. And this is nothing else like a long string, right? So we have here var JSON is this list, and then we say prefs.set string. We give any key, so like for example, list of integers, and the value is just a JSON. I think so. There is a limitation, of course. I think the limitations are set inside of the shared preferences. So if the JSON object gets too big or overflows anything, then I think you get some problems. But in general, you can save everything inside. So the JSON object is just a string at the end, right? And I think that would be the easiest solution, right? So, and if you get that back later, so prefs.get string in that case, and just say list of integers. Now we have that back. And here we can say something like JSON equals, or better, a new JSON. So we have to initialize it, call it result JSON. Now we can JSON.decode. No, not .json decode, and say result JSON. So the only problem that could happen now is, because we said this is a list of integers, that this comes back as a list of strings. That could be. So what we could do is saying this, but it could fail in that case. But there's no inbuilt method to set and get JSON. That's correct. You only have the possibility to set and get a string, and you have to save the string, because this JSON here, with the JSON encode, you can see it, we receive a string out of it. It's just a very long string that contains all your information. And then after that, you save that string here inside. So this is a string. And we save this string now with set string. And after that, when we want to have it back, we just say get the string back, and then we decode again. We have to map the string. Really? Ah, yeah, that could be, yeah, instead of, because this could be that, as I said, this is maybe a string list. That's fantastic, that's true. So we have that, and I think this could be a list of strings. Ah, wait, what I'm talking. Stringify and send, and then decode to get JSON. Sorry guys, one after another, I'm a bit confused, but yeah, it's right, because we don't get, with this result here is more a list. So if we encode, decode this one, we would receive here, as far as I know, a map of string dynamic, right? Which is nothing else than a JSON. So, and the problem is that this string list here, let me think about, we will have here 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. And what would happen with that if we encode that like here? It's a good question actually. But what I can do is I can just test that, right? So because we got this, now result JSON can be mapped, and we get 2 entries like E1, E2. Print it. Okay, let's print it easily. Result JSON. And what I will do is I will put that somewhere inside that we don't have to do it. So, in the worst case, we have to just make that a map. That would be the easiest way then. That we just take the list, and then I think there is a method called toMap. Or no, unfortunately not. So we just have to map the list to a we have to map the list to a map. But we can do that. Just give me a second. If I see that correctly. In the meantime, I have a look at the PR. What happens here? Nothing. Okay. Ah, was it as map? Ah, perfect. Yeah, exactly. But the question is, what do we get from this as map, right? Let's have a look. So the app is there. We can start up. In the meantime, I can change the name of the stream. I think now it is more like plus shared preferences. Oops, sorry, I have to move the camera shortly. So, cool. Yeah, I made a very big mistake when I created the PR for the Flutter repository, and I suddenly had all the commits inside. And then I got sweaty like crazy, and then I started, okay, I need a beer for this evening. It is enough. So, where are we? I think the only evidence that sticks is this Google bot who is announcing that the pull request had too many members inside and like had all the peoples inside. It was like crazy full. Okay, so we get some errors. This is fine. Widgets. Okay, so we have to ensure the initialization. That makes sense. That's true, but you know, if you stream and you make mistakes, it's always even worse. And then you do it in a very big project or somewhere where you really want to shine and show that you can do that stuff and you are so good. Then it's getting different. So I closed that one off once more. Mm-hmm. Ah, that is how it works. Fantastic. Thank you, Rakshit. That makes it way easier if you can explain me directly. So then we can say up here, if we have that as an S map, then we would create a map out of, do we get 2 integers? Most likely. So and if we say here as map, then we receive 2 integers. And now we have the map here. And the same thing is we return now, we get a string with a dynamic. And what happens because of the JSON to initialize prefs? Yeah, I think I do that here, right? Because we are in the main function. So we save that down, we get that. You're very welcome, Flutterist. I mean, fantastic to help other people, right? That is the reason why I'm doing this. Okay, so we get the next error, I assume. Perfect. So we get a list of dynamics. Interesting. Unhandled exception. Type list dynamic is not subtype of type map string dynamic. Okay. So this is that part. I thought this would, but we get unfortunately a list of dynamic here back. Interesting. So JSON decode returns a dynamic. Parses the string and returns a resulting JSON object. The object reviver function is called once. Object key, the key argument is either to the integer list. Okay. So if this is a list of dynamic, that means we receive not the map back, or let me print that. I would really love to see that. So I think I have to restart it because it is in the main function. Oh no. Unhandled converting object to encodable object failed. Instance of list map view integer. List map view. Convert JSON. That comes from shared preferences main. Okay, don't know. I restart that one. String. We encode a map. Ah, okay, so we save down the string, which gets then with the map integer, we get now the JSON, which is nothing else than a key value pair as a string. And then we have a JSON that looks more or less like this. So 0 is 1. And 1 is, in our case, 2, which is a bad thing. Sure, I will print JSON. And what I will do is I add here something like JSON and add this part here. And now I close it off again and start it new. Have you ever worked in the GitHub repository of Flutter, Ty, Akshit? Created some issues or solved some problems there? So where is our print? We still fail somewhere. Unhandled exception in the convert. main package main.dart 13. Oh, perfect. So we fail already here, so we can't create this JSON encode with that map. But why? So that means even the basic example can't be as map. So if we have a list of integer, is that possible to parse now? Yes, so you see this is parsable. JSON 1, 2, 3, 4, and we get back a list of dynamics or a list of numbers at the end. So this could be also a list of integers. Is that right? No. Because we get a list of dynamics, and then we have to map this list of dynamics. We have here dynamic. I will close down the emulator for now. We don't, or make it small at least. Don't have to see that all the time. Okay, so we have a list of dynamics, and what we could do is we take the result JSON.map, and we get a dynamic T, and what we could return is just T or int.parse. We could use try parse if we are not sure that an integer is inside, but I'm sure, so I give it just parse, and with a bit of luck this should work, and this will to list, and this should return us a list of integers, so our result at the end. So this is now just a basic example to see if this stuff is working here. Oh, it's great that I really inspired you. If this is true, then hey, then it was worth every second that I did here. The type int is not a subtype of, yeah, okay, this was my problem. Or my mistake, because I said this should be used with the parse method. But as we know, parse is unfortunately only for strings. So if we, do we have to map that? How could we check that? Can we say something like if t is string or something? Is int? No, I don't think that makes sense. So hot reload, let's check. Still an error. Why do I don't get back an integer, and how can I transform it back to an integer? It shouldn't be too hard, or? Do we have to explicit cast it? Is that possible? Let's Google that one, because I don't know. So, oops. 55630. Let's have a look. What are you doing? What is your plan? Cupertino date picker, okay. Oh, but this is way harder than my one. Severe one, date picker, found in releases. Okay, so you have something in front of you, eh? Don't start small is your idea. Okay, so we have the list of integers, and I want to, yeah, dynamic to int was my question. Dynamic Flutter, or better Dart, this is a Dart problem. Dynamic to int. So tcast, Dart2 has generated which allows. So we have x, which is something, and we cast it with this. So we can cast it and then pass it inside. So let's see. So we cast to int, and then we pass t inside. And this is very red. The function cast isn't defined. Try importing a library. This is a method that he created. X is t. All right. It is pretty simple. Okay. So what is happening here? So we check x if it is t, and then we return it. Else null. So it is this cast is actually nothing else than a parse method, I think. So what we do is we pass down t, which can be anything. In our case, it is an int. And if the value is part of that int, then we return the value itself, else we return null. And because we tell that we return t, we automatically say, okay, whatever we return here will automatically be this int. So with that, we should be able to map the whole thing. And now we hot reload. Here we go. Now we have our numbers, and now finally we can also work with them like we did before. So we can exactly say that result is a number, right? So first, and now we can, for example, say something like radix string, which is a typical method on an integer. Okay, but for you it is more important. So you have an empty list, you said, right? So something like this. And now in the meantime, you have that. And how can you set that now, right? So you would have here some stuff to do. So you would read, you do stuff, and then you would, that's no problem. I think that's what we are for here. So do stuff, you would do something with your database, fetch your data, do whatever you want. And now you would like to fetch, so call it fetching index numbers. Most likely you do that already, right? And now you want to save that in the shared preferences, right? So what you would do actually is just put the different index numbers inside. So what I can imagine is, I don't know, exactly, you get a list back of integers, right? In your case, you would add that maybe to that string list. So you get like a new value called, I don't know, something like that. And then you would get a second one and a third one. So these are my IDs or index numbers that I get. And this is a bad name for it, would call it index list. Fantastic. And now you want to save that, right? So we have a list with these integers. And as you can see, we do that already here. So the only thing is that I would do is we take all that. I will take all of that and create a method for that, save index numbers. So, and inside here, so we do all that stuff. So we receive our information about preferences, we make that asynchronous. Correctly, and then we just pass into the index list, for example. And we have to add this required parameter. Fantastic. And this would set our or save our list of integers into this JSON, right? So, and what we want to do is, because this list is of course not all of them, this is just a partial part of it, we have to first read the preferences, right? Because we want to add that to the list that already exists. So what we would do is we get the string, get string, or better, just copy it from above, because there we have all that stuff. So we would get all this part here and do that in front. Hey Nickel, nice to see you around. Hope you are well. So here we do all that stuff. This is fine. We don't have to print anymore. And now what we are doing is, because we get now the list of integers already, we receive our results. So there are our old indexes inside, all of them. And what we will do now is merging the one list that we received, that index list, which has new indexes for us. And now we combine them. So result dot, I don't know if join is a possibility. No, this is combine. So that's have to be Googled. So combine two arrays. Has someone of you an idea how I combine two arrays in Flutter, in Dart? Is there a simple, so two lists, of course, sorry. If you have several lists, okay, so this would be an option, as Dart 2 can now use plus, that's also easy. Spread operator, I like that with the spread operator. So what we would do is like creating our things that we want to save, right? So we have a save indexes, which is also a list of integers. And what we want to do is now combining the first list of integers that we get from the indexes that you have passed into it. And now we want to have all the old results inside that are coming from the shared preferences beforehand. And now with all these results together, so this would be now much more, we can now pass that into our JSON decode and save that in our new list. So whenever you have a new index, you can now pass that inside here and save it with the other results. And if you start up your application again, you can access the shared preferences somewhere and just say, please give me this information. And we can do that, for example, up here. So I take all of that once more, bring it up here. And whenever we start now the application, we should add 3 numbers to the whole thing. So and to check that, I'll make the print result. And we see in the application, if I hot reload, the first time we get now 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the old values that I didn't clean, right? And then we have 3 numbers. If I press it once more, we have even more. We have now 1, 2, 3, 4, the number and more. And then we hot reload it and so on and so forth and on so on and forth. We're coming to our numbers. And with that, you have your result, I think. This should be exactly what you need. Hopefully. And I would recommend you to create 2 methods out of it. Save the index numbers and receive the index numbers. That makes it a bit easier to read for everyone. But this part here that I created, of course you wouldn't have that cast everywhere. You would create a method for that, like read from shared prefs. And with that, you have the possibility to do that exact part. Because, you know, we do here nothing else, right? It is exactly the same. And what I will do is I pass that here inside. We have to get the pref, so I will not remove that. So, and what we receive here should be a list of integers, right? Because we don't only print that, we also return the result. And we read, we get the result, and here we create a new variable. A new variable that we call result, which is then a list of integers. Fantastic. So we saved a lot of code, and that should do the trick. Even this one can be an own function because it seems that we use that more often, this cast method. It sounds like a very good idea to have that in a utils class or something that you can reuse all the time. And if you are even more advanced, you would improve these methods like save index and read from shared preferences, and would do something like save to shared prefs, and then you would pass by 2 informations. The second one would be list of integers. You would can do it like that, and this would be the key. And instead of asking for this directly, you would use this key here. So with that, you can reuse this method even more. And also here we get a key. A list of integers. So, and with that you can reuse these informations. The only problem is most likely that you have to be more dynamic than just an integer here. So this could be then, for example, t at the end. Oops. T. So, and this would be also t. And this here too. Does not work? Why not? Isn't a type, so it can't be used as a type. Name existing type or define a type named t. Okay, so, and here we would have t. This is wrong, okay. Because this would be a list of... yeah, and also this would be a list of t. No? Okay, I think I'm going too far here, but at least at the moment. It should be possible to do that. I just don't know how at the moment. But I thought we have t, right? What do we return here? A list of integers. So we would return a list of t. This here would get the information of t back. The result is unfortunately not from the list of t, so we would just change this here. And now this part drives crazy. And why? Because we cast explicitly to a t. But what we could do is just return this here, because it is anyway dynamic. And we don't have to cast it, or? And this one wants to have the second part, which is list of integers. Fantastic. And we would pass here inside that we want to have a list of int. Wait, slowly, I think we're coming closer. I want to have my cast back here at that area. Yeah, this. And here we want to have t, exactly, this is that, cool. Here we return that. And here we want to say what it is. So t would be an int. So, and with that we are more generic and we can reuse that method more and more often. I don't know if this is a good example here, but this would be now read from shared preferences lists, right? Because you would always get a list here and a JSON, so you need to be very specific with your naming. Yeah, but I think it would be also fine if you just call the method here list of integers or get list of integers from shared prefs or something like that, and that would also work. Getting too complicated, I think. Okay, any other questions that we can work on? Anything that you would like to see in the next stream? Anything that you missed today? You're absolutely welcome, no worries. So let's see if my PR is still open and what it does, if it's still alive. 15 comments. Okay, so we have just the Flutter build that is missing, and if we are lucky, the bot will get the assigning. More on generic function and class. So everything that starts with a T. Yeah, it took me a while to get my head around that stuff, to be honest. But it's absolutely easy if you once started with it, I think. Because as you can see, T is just any type, right? So you can do everything with it. And it's really cool what you can do with that stuff. Because it makes it way easier to create functions that can be used by multiple people. And also makes the class or the function way more impactful at the end. And generic class, I have to Google that. Maybe I don't understand correctly. But, oh, not on Java. Let's go to Dart, to the big stuff. Brutal. Yeah, but you have to talk about that stuff, right? I mean, it's everywhere. If you are in a real project, if we are jumping into Flutter once more, you will see that we most likely have in every second corner some T's and O's and whatever. So if I'm searching everywhere in the project and just search for T, you see the image provider is a very good example. It gets a T inside, and yeah, so there it starts already, right? Why can't I jump in? Ah, so okay, it needs to analyze. But yeah, all that stuff. But it's pretty cool. If you know it once, it really impresses people again if you work like that. I think really brutal is like a self-invocation, how do you call it, recursive methods and that stuff if you're going into that part, because at the beginning you think you have understood everything, but then it takes a while till you don't understand what happens anymore. I think I had a friend who created a very interesting technical preview for a customer, and he only used recursive methods everywhere and had a test coverage of 100%, and nobody understood what he wrote. Nobody. So now we can jump inside and we can see what T is used for. Okay, that's a stupid idea to search for T, but image provider is an abstract class. I think it comes from there. the date picked package for Flutter. My personal opinion about best things like date picker or something is usually stick with the things that are already included. And I think Flutter date picker, there is already one, which is pretty easy to use actually. It helped me to know the way. Okay, so you understood what I did, or should I maybe re-explain it once more? I was a bit quick by creating it because I was not sure if it worked out like I wanted to. So yeah, I'm usually using the show date picker function from Material library because the stuff is already included. The only problem is I think you also need the Cupertino one, and then I think there is also another one with the Cupertino date picker class, and both of them are pretty easy to use. And what I will do now, because I have still some time, or how long are we in the stream already? Not long enough, I think. Perfect, you understood. Fantastic. So if we are in the main function and we have down here our my homepage, I think it should be possible to save that. Yeah, for sure. So let's see if we can do that in like in half an hour or something, because then I'm hungry and I want to eat something. So we remove all that stuff here. It's just not necessary, right? So we call here a new full page that we call date picker solution. Sorry, what am I doing? So we create a stateful widget in that case, most likely because I want to have a date picker. Cool. And we have the container. And now what we want to have is actually two methods inside here. One is the Cupertino picker, or show Cupertino picker. Voila. And the other one is show material picker. And now we can work with them, right? Cupertino is right? Yep, so cool. And what I want to do is like here, I want to have, let's do a real scaffold here and giving a body, know the drill, right? And here we have a center widget inside, which has just a raised button. Or you know what? My PR was about outline button, right? So what do we create? An outline button, of course. So fantastic. Then I also know more exactly what this is about. Oh, so there's an onPressed method inside, and this onPressed method. Hey, Dartpad, hope you are well. And I think I need to change the music once more. Sorry for that. It's a bit too rocky at the moment. Do you want to hear something special? Happy music, epic music, happy music. Let's be happy. Okay, so we have our onPressed. And now depending on our platform, we want to decide if we want to open up the Cupertino one. So if we are on iOS, then this one, and else the other one. So for that, we can just make an if-else case. And the easiest way is for me if I just check the platform dot, what was it, is, I think there is k is web. And then maybe there's also a k is, no. Duma music, yeah. I like that music, and when I was in multiple concerts, like Metallica and all that stuff, when I was younger, then this was amazing, but now, or Korn, or all that, and Rammstein, I mean, we are in Germany, right? Oh, that's a good idea, Rakshit. Thank you for that. I think that is fantastic. That is phenomenal. Why I didn't work with that before. So you search for // right? And then search and replace. So this one. And even better would be if I use this here. So what was it? // which is regex most likely. And then I'm just replacing it with that. Ah, but it doesn't work for the to-do stuff here. Ah. Maybe I have to add the... No, unfortunately not. I would love that here is something like remove all comments or something like that. I think this exists in Visual Studio Code. But okay, this was not my plan. I want to know if we are on an iOS or Android device. So Flutter if Android. How to detect? I think it's somewhere in the on my right. Okay, did I slash and then on the right? Good enabled. This one. Regex. Yeah, makes sense. But it's only this part, or yeah. So what we have to do is something like that. Fantastic. That's cool. I will remember that one. Thank you, Rakshit. That will help me in the future a lot. Pretty sure with that. Okay, so back to our problem. If platform is Android, yeah, sure. I should have known that. Is that a package? No, it's just Dart.io. Cool. And I also will replace now this Discord a little bit, just that we are faster here. Yeah, much better. I hope I don't navigate too much or too fast. Sorry for that. And we have the date picker solution, and we have somewhere our onPressed. And now here we will have access on platform dot. Have to import it via the .io. And now we can check here if we are, for example, is Android, right? And this is a question mark. Yeah, I know, and I'm sometimes a bit too fast, you know. I could do that slower, that your eyes take the movement better. But, you know, I know what I'm doing, so I want to be as fast as possible. Efficiency, always. So if it is Android, we show the material picker. Show material picker. Whoop. And if we are not, then we show the iOS picker. Voila. And show Cupertino picker. And we execute. So we clean that looks good. So with that, we check against Android. Of course, if we are in the web, we would now always show the Cupertino picker. So we would maybe add more to them. And you have to decide if you want to use that material picker. You could create your own, or as you said, there is a lot of pub.dev, right? So I think date picker, there are a ton of them. Oh, there's even one from Syncfusion. Is it free to use? Most likely it has a license, or... Yeah, this is a commercial package. Okay, so forget about that. Persian date picker, Cupertino. This is the one from the Flutter team, or not? No, it isn't. Yeah. But in any case, personally, I would stick with them because I know exactly that they are maintained, right? So if you are using these, usually you know that the Flutter team is behind of that. And because they are working like crazy on these widgets, it makes a ton of sense to just stick with them. And only if you really need something very specific as a date picker, then switch to the other. Okay. But how can we actually now run this Cupertino picker? This is a class in that case, and I know the material is just a method, right? So the material date picker is, as far as I know, just in Flutter. It's just a function, exactly. So we can take that, and here we just execute this part, and now we have some values that we have to push inside. Like for example, the first date, then I think we have even more, or yeah. The initial date, the context, which is the context. I think we can just pass that inside. And the last date. So, and all of these values have something to say. The first date is most likely the first that we can select. Oh, you no worries, Mohammed. I hope this is interesting for you now. So we switch a bit the context from my first PR to now date picker and beforehand shared preferences. but I think we can do everything a little bit. Okay, so what is the first date? If we are going up in the documentation here, we get all the information that we need. The first date is the earliest allowable date. So this is what the user gets as an example, what he can enter. So the first date is date time. And now I just say that the year is 2020. The month is, this is the 7th and the 1st. So that would be our first date that we can select. And the last date would be the end of this month. So I will just give it the 1st of the 8th. So, and the initial date will be today. So datetime.now. Fantastic. Why is it not wrapping? I removed the Dart FMT for Flutter. Sorry for that. Just a second. Dart FMT. No, just reformat code, I think. Yep. Plugins, Dart. Don't know if there's a difference, so let's search with web search. Okay. Good. Oh, it's the same. Fantastic. Way better. Okay, so we have now a date picker for Material. So if we are on Android, which we are most likely, sorry, where's our Android emulator? Here we go, and we start the app. In the meantime, I put that on top so that it sticks. Voila. So what I want to see now is whenever I click on that show material picker, this is getting executed. And important for us is we have to wait for that, because as far as I know, this is a, if I jump here inside, we will find, this is not it, I think. Or, yeah, it returns us a future of date time. And this future is last Sunday. Oh yeah, perfect. Thank you for your effort that you worked. That was perfect. So what do we have here? Show date picker. Why is it white? Okay, our outline button needs some color. Colors.green, please. Or better, blue. We get some issues in the Dart Performer. What? And maybe a child with some text. So, click me. Reload not performed. We have some issues. Weird. Okay, but now we have the date picker here. It's weird that the color didn't work out. But anyhow. So let's click the date picker. And as you see, we have now the possibility to select the date. And because we only gave them the range between the first 8 and first 7, we can't navigate so much inside of this date picker. But that's fine, I think. And now comes the interesting part. Because we wait here for the information, we receive here also the information about the selected date, right? So if I'm going here, we get now a state, right? So what we have is a date time, selected date. And if we put that here, we receive that. And after that, we execute set state, obviously. And what I want to do is down here, when we have this centered container outline button, or let's have that surrounding. I think we don't need that center here. And we would wrap that in a column. Voila. So, and now inside of that column, we have a main axis alignment, which we call center. And we have a cross alignment, which I think stretch would be cool. Voila. Okay, and now let's give the whole thing a padding. Whoop. You see, I'm already in the visual stuff. Sorry for that. We actually want to keep with the different pickers that we have here. But what I wanted to do is we wanted to create a column, so that I can put underneath now a beautiful text widget which shows us the date time. The selected date dot to string, and I will make that to an ISO string, or better, to string. No. Yes, we will save it in a second. Just give me a second, and I should do that in a widget. Makes more sense. So we have a text that I call selected date dot to ISO string, for example, and that's the part. It was called on null. Okay, so selected date is not allowed to be empty. So what I will do is I give that a default date, which is now. Sorry. Oh. And important here is now, because I anyway know this is the selected date, we can also say that this initial date here is the selected date. And with that, we make sure that whenever the user is selecting something and comes back to the page, he is immediately back with that. That's a good question. Cool. So if I'm selecting now a new date, so the 24th, for example, we can see that date time down here has changed right away. So fantastic, we got that. So what do we should focus first? Do you want to know how I can save that now in shared preferences, or are you more interested on how we can now distinguish between Android and iOS and show now the Cupertino picker? In the meantime, I drink something. What I can do, because we are so many people who are watching, and I always love my tools, so what I will do now is something completely fancy, and most of you know it already. So we will create a poll. And what I want to do is, what do we do next? Question mark. We have the option, what did I say? The shared preferences. Command is shared. And the other thing is, what did we say? The shared preferences. And yes, we do the vote. Just give me a second. And the other thing was the Cupertino widget. Yeah, I think Cupertino is fine. So cool. Back. And we start the poll. And you should get now the possibility to vote here in the chat by just ! vote. And after that, you enter the text that you want to have, like Cupertino. So you can see in the Streamlabs bot should post it here. So if you execute now ! and shared, for example, then you voted for it. And in the meantime, while you are voting, I will just jump right away shortly to the bathroom. We will see us in 2 or 3 minutes. All right. See you shortly. So I've changed up. So you can hear me, hopefully that looks good. And the vote is already done. I have 11 viewers. Come on guys, we need more votes. I think a lot of don't mind. Maybe we just do both or something like that. But we start, I would say, at the moment with 2-1. Sorry, Flutterist, for Cupertino first. But I think we can manage both. That's pretty easy. So this is now the material one, right? But this works. We can. What I will do is first close the vote. Poll. Complete the whole thing. So hopefully that worked. Fantastic. It's fantastic. I love these tools and playing around with that stuff. So thank you for participating. And now we are going back. So what we said is if Android, then we are showing the material picker and else the Cupertino picker, right? But the important thing here is that the Cupertino picker, as far as I know, is now a class. So this is a bit different, right? It's really a widget that opens up. There are several modes of that picker listed in date Cupertino picker. As columns, okay, this is that thing that shows on the bottom. Okay, and how can we use that now? Constructs in IOSDate. This is really a widget, right? It's not a method. How would that look like, that Cupertino picker? So the Cupertino date picker mode. If we want to have that feeling that it comes from the bottom, we most likely need the modal, or? So what I could imagine is that we use the show modal. So there is a method that is... Oh, there is another... No, this is my own method. So there is the show bottom modal sheet and show Cupertino modal pop-up. Okay, so I know this one, but I don't know this one, so I will have a look what this is. And I will make that smaller shortly. So what do we see? Shows a modal iOS style pop-up that slides up from the bottom of the screen. Such a pop-up is alternative to the menu dialog, prevents... Okay, cool. So it sounds like exactly what we want, right? So for the Cupertino, so whenever we have in an iOS, we want to use the functions of the iOS. So we have here context, and the builder is just a builder with a context most likely. Yes, and this returns us now the Cupertino date picker widget. Voila. We have here a semicolon, this one too, and this one returns us something. So if we jump here inside, we see we return T. So whatever here inside of the builder is getting returned gets... is that correct? Where comes this return from? From the navigator.pop. So if we navigate now back by popping up the state, we can return values to it and receive the information. So inside of that builder, we most likely have then to say also when we receive our information that we want. So let's see how we can do that. Is there an example how the whole thing should work? Oh, but we can search for it in the... Now the structure has changed again for that. So here we go. That we have. Okay, there's unfortunately no text for that, how it looks. Okay. But inside of this Cupertino date picker, and I think, do we have to return something? Yeah. So inside of here, we want to select now all the different parts, right? So first, we have most likely an on date time changed. So whenever the date time has changed, this method gets executed. And what I want to do is the initial date time, which is the selected date. So and if we selected a date, so whenever we have selected something, then our selected date should change. So how can we say it changed? Exactly with set state, and our selected Date is the value. Fantastic. But now we have to pop somehow, right? So what I would understand is that we have here most likely a column. The problem is now I don't know the iOS implementation usually so good. So what I will say is we have the Cupertino. Sorry. So we have the Cupertino date picker here in the column, and we need a button or something. So I take again my famous outline button with an onPressed method. And here we have the child that says a text save. And on this onPressed, we want now to pop the navigator. So navigation navigator dot pop the context. And this is the context that we receive from this, where is it? Yes, from this modal pop-up here. So that means our modal gets now removed from the stack. And now we want to not only return the context, we also can give inside of this pop here any type, right? So anything. And this is our result that we return. And in our case, this is the selected date. So this is fine. And what we could do is even, yeah, I think, I'm not sure if this is fine. We will have to check that in a second. Okay, so if we take here a look, this is still looking the same. I think if we restart the application for iOS, Android will still work. And now we bring our machine to Mars because we set up the second emulator. And let's see if we can run both simultaneously. So, unfortunately, they don't stay on top. I don't know why. Exactly. So as you can see now, we start up both emulators. Could take a while. I'm sorry for that. What are your next goals in Flutter? Do you have some learning goals, something that you want to know in the next? For me personally, it would be block pattern, for example, because I'm still very bad with state management. I still use just the plain provider, maybe with Riverpod and now with Cubit. You wait for Riverpod. Yeah, I think Riverpod is really interesting. I think Fun with Flutter made a great video about it with the to-do lists, how to create it and everything. It was really helpful for me to get my head around it. Only problem, or I'm not sure why Riverpod was so necessary, but I think as far as I've read from Remy Roselet, he always had a problem with, or a lot of people were complaining about this O2 problem. And I'm really happy that he fixed, or that he approached this problem. So maybe it really fixes that, and maybe in the future we have more and more packages that rely on Riverpod. So you see, Xcode takes a while. Wow, more than a minute. It's fantastic if something takes so long for a streamer, because you just sit there and wait. Okay, so what do we get here? Unhandled getter length was called on null. Okay. What is Riverpod? Okay, so Riverpod is the new state management solution from Remy Roselet, the creator of Provider Package. So Riverpod is really important to know, actually, because what he is doing is he changed the behavior how a provider is working. Provider is working like in a bidirectional data flow, and Riverpod is now written like that it is unidirectional. And with that, you get around of that O2 problem, and maybe O2 problem is too technical, but of the problem that you use more than you should use. So your state management solution is a bit better. So I can add the link here in the video description. So, and then a second alternative where I really am afraid of to start with is Get. Get is like, blah, it's everything. It's so huge. It's like an own Flutter around and around itself. So it's telling me that Flutter is easy, but it really is so powerful. I'm really afraid to start with. But you see 600 likes, so it is really famous. So exactly that you can say. It is an improved version of Provider, yes. Or at least, well, we hope it is. At the moment, it is still a bit down versioned. I would still wait to give it to my customers because, yeah, Provider is now in version 5 or something, and we're talking from Riverpod version 0.3, which makes it not better, worse, but yeah, just have it on the eye. So I think here is also a link to the Riverpod page from Remy. So check it out. Okay, but I got again off topic, sorry for that. We wanted to fix this problem with the length. So converter in the main. So you got problems. I have the feeling that for iOS I have to add something for the shared preferences, right? There was something in my head. Blah blah blah, usage, testing. NS user defaults, okay. Or is there any void? Ah, okay, so, okay. Getter was called on null. So this part here, get string, when you start it the first time, it receives null. And if this is the case, it breaks. So what I will do is make this. So if this here is null, we return an empty string. And with that, result string is empty, nothing happens here, so everything should work fine. So we do restart. And I have to learn that command R? No, it's Control R, keyboard. Because we want to improve our shortcuts, because shortcuts are very important, right? A time saver? The Riverpod or... Ah, shortcuts, yeah. Sorry. We got another problem. So format exception. Unexpected end of input at character 1. Okay, it seems empty string is not a good one. I thought it would work. So what I could do is just saying if this here, I create a variable for that. Yeah, but I will create a variable for that, and then I make just if string equals unequals null. Then we are doing this stuff, else we're doing that. And result null. Oh, this is not possible, but what I can do is making here an empty list, returning. Why is it complaining? Ah, so undefined name of result, that makes sense. So we want to have that up here, and then result overwritten. And I think we can initialize that with empty list, and then we should have all problems solved here. So good that we use the other the iOS, right? Because this error would not have appeared on the other one. Maybe never, because we only then when we remove all the information from the shared preferences. Yeah. Do you use the key promoter X for your key shortcuts to see what you have pressed the most, and you get the information if you press something not? So for example, if I click here on to-dos, it will complain that I can use command 6. Really helpful, and I think there is also an extension for Visual Studio Code which does exactly the same. Okay, finally, we are open. Oh, ha. So the good thing is something has opened. So it seems like the iOS selector is really coming up. So something happens, but the width of that is actually somehow broken. So we see bottom overflowed by infinity pixels. And what does that mean is my favorite error. So what's the way I debug? Depends. It depends what I want to debug. If it is functionality, so like a method like this save to shared preferences, I just would add a debug code here on the side, and then you can run the whole thing in debug mode, right? If I want to debug something like this mistake now, where I get this infinity scroll pixels, I actually would start the dev tools. But the problem here is I know exactly what the problem is, so it would take too much time to open that up. And the problem is that this column here has no restrictions, right? It has no box constraints, how large it can be. And with that, it's getting infinity height. So what we can do is we say the main axis size is minimal. And if this is correct, we get a problem here. That's fantastic. Restart. And, right. Still broken. Ah, sad. So it didn't work like I expected. Even though that I still think this should work. Does this have more? No. So what we could do is giving that a box constraint. So for that we give it a constraint box. Or expand it. Yeah. You think? Yeah, that could be. We can try that. So we can wrap that as an expanded. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Okay, that's maybe a bit large, but we get the idea, right? So we have that save button on the bottom, and we can select here now wildly our date picker, and we can save the whole thing. But what you can see is, or what I see is on the background here, I made that maybe too small, but if I select a new date, you can see that the date is automatically getting rebuilt all the time. And this is maybe not what we want to achieve, right? So where is that coming from? This is that part here. We set the state whenever the selected date has changed. But what we actually want to do is we want to have inside of that builder a variable called selected date, which is from type datetime. And this selected date here is getting selected. Wait, selected date is a bad name. Let's say inner or iOS selected date. And this iOS selected date get changed by the value here inside. Yep. And what we want to do is whenever we pop now the navigation, we pass down the iOS selected date with it, so the date time. And this means we can now await for this show Cupertino modal pop-up to be getting closed. And when that is the case, we receive from the pop function the iOS selected date. I think the background here is not there because of that show Cupertino modal pop-up. I think it behaves differently like the normal show modal. But we will have there a look later, just a second. We have here datetime, D. And this is now actually which one we receive, right, from the other part. And the cool thing of that is now we can have, after that, So as soon as we receive that, we async, here we go. Now that we have that, we can have the selected date equals to D, and now we set the state here. Voila. This should be updating the time. I think a better name would be returned or date picker date. Nah, it's also bad. Selection. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and with that, our Cupertino picker returns us the right thing. So, and to, I think I can remove that with the show modal bottom sheet. It behaves exactly the same like the iOS one. That's why I know all the other stuff. And if we take now a look into the iOS behavior, I hope that the background is there. And then we have to read documentation about the iOS picker or modal thing. Don't we have an iOS user here in the chat? The problem is myself, I'm having an Oppo from an Android device. Pretty cool device, I cannot say, but it is unfortunately not a Mac. Yeah, but as you see now, with the show modal picker, we have now the behavior that we know, I think. So this is what most of us know. It's always crazy how good the performance is on that thing. It's so good. So, and if we save, did we change the date? I didn't check. The 18th, so I select just the 16th November, we press save, and you see it works. So now we return the date and have that here in place. Okay, that was quite a lot. The problem here is really this part to understand that this is something else and then it's something else again and so on and so forth makes it quite complicated. And especially because that whole thing is now nested again. So what you could do is creating a widget for that part here so that this at least gets a bit removed out of the clutter. But was that clear what I tried to explain with that date picker selection here? Or should we try it again with the show modal? Okay, so let's have a look. So you mean if I'm going, wait, this is wrong. Let's go here. Has my PR updated in the meantime? No, unfortunately not. There are still some problems. Well, we'll wait till there is a fix. And here searching for that number. So throw exception when parent height is null. Okay. So if we should we try that? Let's break our things, huh? Run flutter create bug. So we have a container with the height of null. So if this one is surrounded with a container with a height of 0, do we need the expanded then? I don't know, but let's see how the issue behaves. Oh, was called on null. Ah, okay. The problem is sometimes this down here could be null, so this has to be something like that. You reproduced it, all right. Yeah, exactly. Everything is here. Cool. So you created an animated controller. Yeah, the animation value can be null. Okay. Yeah. Okay, but this shouldn't be too hard to solve, or it sounds not too hard at least. But it's good that you are working on it. So what do we have? Yeah, the ISO key was selected date was empty. So what I could do is actually two things. We could check that for null and then don't execute the ISO string, but that wouldn't help us with that. So because the text would be getting empty, null. And if the text is getting null, we destroy our app. So we wanted to avoid that. So restart. Okay, and beat that we have 3 mains running. This is the iPhone, and this is, and then just close one. Don't want too much. And then we want to save the dates, right? So now we select the date, maybe from here or from here. And now we want to save that in our shared preferences. And this should be now really, really, really simple, hopefully. So let's see. We receive our second outline button. I just do that now with 2 buttons. You can do that with anything else that you like. And what I will do is now I want to get a second state where we keep our track of our date that we receive from the shared preferences. So shared pref, I will create a new state that would be up here. So date time shared pref date. Working on all features immediately. So, and now we have that shared pref date here, and we want to get also the toIso string here. We do the same issue. If it is a null, we just want to show empty string. And in my new favorite button, the outline button, we have a child, which says the text, read shared pref. And what we will do is now shared pref date will receive the date here inside. So as soon as we click that, we want to, I write the to-dos down. As soon as we click, we want to read the shared preferences. And what we also want to do is set state for shared pref date. So this is the part that we want to do. And this one should be automatically set to the shared prefs. Okay, so first we have to set that somewhere. And because we get the date here and here, we have to set it somewhere here. Okay, how can we do that? So we select a date and we want to save that in the shared preferences. So we await for shared preferences. And we want to get an instance, right? Which is then variable pref. And with pref.setString, right? We can't set something else. We have an int, double, something, but I will take now string. So with the key shared date, and the value will be the select, no, not the selected, oops, sorry. The date picker selection dot milliseconds since epoch. And this returns us an integer. And with that, we say here set integer. Fantastic. So now this selection here contains our information from the date in milliseconds since the epoch. Great. The same thing we have to do with the show material part here. So whenever we select that, we want here to have the selected date, milliseconds since epoch, and we have to wait for the shared preferences. Thanks to the async of both functions, we should be very easy with that. Voila. And the great thing here now is actually we can now call the getInt, right, on that part here down here. And what we can say now is we initialize again the shared preferences. So, and we make this on pressed method asynchronous. And now we say pref.getInt with this key shared date. Voila. And what we have to do is, or what I want to do is creating a constant for this here. So that I don't miss that anymore out, and I will scroll completely to the top of the widget, and I will add that here. And instead of var, this is a const string shared date, so that I don't have to remember this part, right? Because else I would maybe lose it and make some mistakes where they are not necessary. They all belong together. And now in that case, I get the integers, we get the informations from the date, and the cool thing is now we have here a very big int. Date milliseconds since epoch, right? And now we want to create a new date time from milliseconds since epoch. And there comes the date milliseconds since epoch inside, and that's it. And here we want to say the shared pref date equals to this. And the next thing is just set state, so that we have the possibility to update the shared pref date down here and get the text here set correctly. So, and if this all was correct, what I've done, and I know it was very fast, sorry for that, I can restart the application here. This is like I love live streaming. Having some great people around, talking with them, solving some problems together. Sorry that I'm always jumping into my PR, it's just pure curiosity. I really want to get that thing inside. But we got a second problem here, tests misc the main.dart. Timed out, okay. Okay, no idea. Okay, so we select the date, right? So for example, the 5th August, and we press save. And now, because we saved it, you can see it up here. If we go here, now we saved it in our preferences. And if I'm going here and click now on read shared preferences, you can see it, the 5th of August 2020 is now read. We have the text here, and we have in that case our date time. That's it. Okay, that can make that a bit beautiful, but this is actually everything. The same thing is working, of course, in the emulator. So if we restart the emulator, here we go, and we select a date, for example, 22 June, and read the shared preferences. We get it. And with that, we have saved it locally on our device. And whenever we restart the application, and I can also show this, if I restart both applications, because we saved it in the shared preferences, I can now immediately click on the read shared preferences, right? I don't have to restart or reinitialize the value. It is already there. So if I click it, we get the value from before, the 22nd of July in that case. And here on the right side, if it starts up the application, we can see exactly the same behavior. And that's everything that's to know for the shared preferences. And click, and we get the date. Fantastic. Good. Are there any more questions that we should tackle, or no? I think we are coming slowly to the end of the stream, but a little misspell for the end date. It should say, okay, that's fantastic. We don't want to have mistakes here. You mean here, I'm most likely, right? So I will copy that, Marco. Thank you for the info. Oops. Fantastic. So that was bad. So for that, we use the renaming. Way better. Whoops. Yeah, so you see, actually it is pretty easy, and to be honest, I would just like, but if we have this a shared preference date, right? Because just for your info, this looks pretty ugly, right? You will have that most likely for different languages. There's also a pretty cool function that we can use if you want to have date format. And this is also sometimes a bit tricky to use, so that's why I want to point that out. So Let's check that. It's from the Intel library. And with that, you can create these nice little formats for your date time. For example, in Europe or in Germany, we have date dot month dot year. Whoa, that sounded weird. But with that, we can easily transform that. So for that, we need the date format. And this comes from the Intel package. What this means is we have to go to pub.dev, searching for Intel. And then we install that package here. So if we go then to the pubspec.yaml and pass that inside. So this will be now a fast deal, but I hope that makes some sense at the end. If we are here, we currently only have this to ISO something, right? But what we actually want is a date format. Dot. Did we get it now? Just a second, I removed that for a minute. And now we can import Intel. And we can now have these different formats, right? So as I said, in Germany, we have the good old day in front. So let's see what we can have for that. Year, okay. Dynamic local. Okay, maybe not. How does it work? I thought year, month, day. Let's try this. So now I try again something on the fly and this doesn't work out. Sad. So what do we need to do? Date format, year M, and then we can add the text where we are from. So this is DE in our case. And then format, which is that? Format, okay. Date format, year, month, day. So I could enter here, for example, something like that. And then format, give the date time. In our case, that was shared pref date, right? And as if this is getting null, we return an empty string. We have a problem. Yeah. Sure. Most likely it will complain now because DE is not set as an inside of the material app as a language. So it could be that we get some issues here right now, but let's see. You can explicitly set global local, okay. Find system local, okay. So we will see. Yep. And restart that. So what do we get here? Initialize date formatting. Oh, I create multiple instances of that iPhone application. Don't know why. Looks a bit weird. So, and for the Pixel, we can also restart that one. Initialize date formatting. Okay. Local data exception. Fantastic. So this is now following data local building DatePicker solution dirty state. Yep. So we Google for that. Here we get also the other possibility formats. So we have to execute initialize date formatting. So I solved it, okay. Never heard about it, so it's something new, I think. Maybe I can do that directly in the main function, something like that. Or not. Date symbol data local. Okay, so import that one. Yeah. String local string file path. Okay, that's not it. That is weird. So maybe I can't push here anything inside. Let me try this part here. Instead of having this, we would create something like that. So we have day, and instead of minus, I make points because we are from Germany, and we format the whole thing. Okay, so this was working on null. So format. So I will have to do something like this. Equals to null, then unequals to null, then this, else. Okay. Aha, promising. Fantastic. Okay, that was now a longer excursus than I had planned, but as you can see now, we can format the date as we wish, right? So we could also say for month, and after that the dates. Oops. And if we start up the application again and hot reload, we can see that we have now, if we read it, a very weird date format. Where's this coming from? Was it small d? Have a look. Yeah. So now we have the days in the center and on the left side the months. So American style. And with that you have the full control about the whole thing. Fantastic. So I will stop that now. And I think that's it for today. That was the whole stream. Thank you so much for joining me. You saw me sweating about the problems with my GitHub problems, where I tried to push everything once more into the PR, which was a big mistake. So we solved that somehow. You saw me sweating in that place. We implemented the shared preferences for Flutter. We had some play with the date format and date time. We saved date time and received the date time. Did I miss something? Oh yeah, we had two different parts of the Cupertino, and we so the date time was once implemented for Cupertino and once for Android. And I think we learned quite something today. I was very happy to have you around. That was fantastic. Yep, we also saved a list inside of shared preferences. Thank you. And I think we see us the next time. Thank you for joining. I think that will be Saturday, the next live stream at 3 p.m. I have planned on CST. And maybe Mahtab make a live stream in the meantime. And there is an FAHQ where everything is explained. And else we see us on Twitter and on YouTube. Thank you for joining. Till the next time. See ya, guys.